All right, so like, are we officially switching to Tuesday here?
No.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Because this is like twice.
I posted it or not.
Oh, okay.
I said something about, Tad and Mike are both.
I told everybody they got to talk to the social media departments, not me.
Oh, that's Tad.
Yes.
Wait, who, where?
Did you say we're switching?
I was told that we're switching, but apparently...
By who?
Did
you call Human Resources?
No, Human Resources called me.
Oh.
Or texted me or something. I don't know.
Maybe
probably has to do with that disturbing facial hair.
Maybe I'm wrong.
All right, who's got their fucking phone on?
Probably me.
You fucking idiots.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it me?
I muted mine outside, so.
Oh, fuck. It was Tad. You
seriously, I muted it outside and it's still freaking.
In fairness, I got to give you a pass. You don't normally do that. So, all right. Well,
it made Tom scramble. So.
Who are we, Tom? Since Tad derailed everything.
We're Power Speed 908-751-0211. Call in, schmucks.
Yeah, like us, Facebook, iTunes,
Twitter,
whatever else. Twitter. Yes. Actually,
are we on Snapchat?
Are we? I don't know.
No, of course.
You're asking me?
Yeah.
The old guy.
I should make a Snapchat for the Power and Speed. But
isn't that just a text thing that goes away?
Something.
No, that's Instagram. We should have, not Snapchat. Snapchat.
You realize how we sound like members of Congress right now? Right?
Yeah, we do.
That's exactly.
Where's my glass of water?
Do you have WhatsApp?
WhatsApp. I do.
Right. Anyway, yeah, I do too. I actually use WhatsApp a lot. So, Mike, you were talking about last week. Does that show up?
No, it's not up, and I want to tell everybody what happened.
Uh-oh. Here comes the story again.
Right in the barrel for me. Nobody but me. I can't blame Tad or you or anybody.
Much
maybe
as you'd want to.
There's a big red button that I have to push at the beginning of a show. Mm-hmm. That's what takes the show from the microphones and puts it on the computer.
So we don't have the show?
Well, I kind of do.
All right.
I have it in Mixler.
I've heard enough.
Yeah. I can resurrect this sort of. It might not sound the same as all our other ones, but I will put it up.
Some of our faithful following are a little upset. But.
Yeah, well, in the list of times that I've left my phone on or any of that shit, I haven't made too many mistakes.
But the paid subscribers got theirs, so
yes, the paid subscribers.
It's really all that matters.
All that matters. If you have your premium membership, you can go back in and you can just rewind it and listen as many times as you'd like.
Yep. So we were talking before we came on the air, and one of our listeners, Nick Pelcher, asked a question last week that was very long and involved. I
actually felt bad about that because somebody called me after the show. It might have been Jeff or somebody like, man, why didn't you answer that guy's question? And I was like, what question? Because I don't really look at the chat very rarely. You guys are usually transfixed. But we missed it and I felt bad.
Well, that's why we look at it, because you miss it all. Somebody's got to look at it. I
don't think that's my job.
Whose job is that?
I'm the guy. My job is to push the button, which I got today.
Yeah. So anyway, his question was about camshaft sizing, which you know a little bit about. Tad knows a ton about.
I do. Okay, stage 2.
There you go. We just talked about that too.
Mm-hmm.
And he was asking, I don't know who it was.
Actually, 3/4 race, sorry.
He was buying somebody's cam, and he was going to buy a stage 2, and that guy, whoever, I forget the guy's name, but he said, don't buy the stage 2 because in a 5.3 and a 6.0, the cams are the same. So he's asking if stroke matters, because this guy, I guess, is telling him because the stroke is the same, the camshaft, it doesn't matter. I don't know. It was kind of bizarre, but he said this person was saying that, like, it's not like a 350 where if you put that cam into a 400. Oh, no, he was saying that. You put a big cam in a 350, it's way different in a 400. So our contention.
So was he trying to say that if stroke is the universal camshaft selection item?
I think he was saying, this cam guy was saying the opposite. I think.
I thought the way you read it before, they were saying that the cam is the same between a 5.3 and a 6.0.
What happened, Ted?
The guy that asked the questions on it.
Okay. Well, we're talking about you, buddy, because we missed it. Sorry, man.
Oh, so this LMS guy said 5.3 and the 6.0 cam are the same. And then the next guy says the same cam in the 5.3 and 6.0 are totally different.
All right, look.
So one's talking about how they act. One's saying that they are what they are.
Okay.
But of course they're going to act differently in a 5.3 and a 6.0.
Well, yeah, the general tendency is that if the engine displacement comes up, a given camshaft, cylinder head, all that stuff seems to act a little more mild. I mean, that's
Well, it kind of has to.
it's kind of the rule of thumb. Everything's proportional.
Well, you know what? Mild is, Little John Motorsports.
He doesn't like us. Well, I take that back. He doesn't like me. Fuck him.
Nobody.
I've tried to be nice to the guy. I've told him he could call in. Little bastard.
So they're dimensionally the same. I think saying that they act mild is kind of misleading. We used to think that, and it's correct, because we're dealing with race cams all the time.
You know, there's a lot of things that happen here, and this is where I will give Little John, Brian Tooley, these guys some credit. I know it's not credit that you want to dole out too easily, but this is what they do. They've done a lot with this, and there's been many times, I can't say that because if I say that, it's going to sound insulting after I said something nice. So I'm actually turning the filter on for a moment.
Huh. That never happens.
If you did a lot of one particular thing, you have to learn. Now, for me, I would tell you that I know from, say, a Superstock 427 or a Superstock 396, they have the same stroke. They do not necessarily like the same camshaft. So, but when you get into the turbocharged side of things, that's something that I can't.
We got a clarification.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
So he says everyone runs a stage 2, Little John cam and a 5.3. So I figured stage 3 and a 6.0 would make sense.
First off, let me just stop you right here.
Yeah, stage 2, stage 3, can't stand it.
I want you to go to Home Depot, get a hammer, and I want you to hit yourself in the head with in a temple.
Right in the temple.
Right in the temple, repeatedly.
Only one side.
Okay, only one?
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't want to kill the guy.
The camshaft stuff, when you talk about that, that's like saying, I can't even draw a parallel.
It's
just so
like
stupid.
saying 3/4 race cam back in the day.
there's no real size to that. When you're talking about camshaft, and I mean, these guys, they have all different acronyms now that they use that I've never used. We want to know where the events happen. We want to know what the duration is, how they've derived that duration number. We'd like to know, at least for me, I'd like to know the duration at a few different points so you can see how aggressive the cam is.
Sure.
That's how you measure a cam one to another. But saying stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 doesn't really tell you anything unless you're familiar with that particular product line. So it makes it really hard to answer the question.
Right. But really, he's saying, so I guess LJM said that a stage 2 cam and a 5.3 and 6.0 act the same because they are the same stroke.
That I would take issue with.
Yeah,
but with the footnote, that I could tell you if this was a normally aspirated engine and we were racing, if you felt that way, that's fine. You're allowed to have that opinion. I will beat you every time. Turbocharged engine, there might be something to that because you're not relying on signal. I think the turbocharged camshaft, and I think Kenny Duttweiler kind of said something along those lines.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That the camshaft seemed like, didn't he say something? And listen, John, I would encourage you, isn't that, or Nick, I would encourage John too. Maybe learn something. You should go back and listen to the Kenny Duttweiler one specifically about the camshafts because there was a lot of really good information there.
Well, I think what he was saying was the cam is less important because of all the activity on the backside of the valve. I mean, you're throwing boost at stuff, so the cam inherently is less important.
And this is what I mean. This is where I will give Little John and guys that do what he does and some credit because they have much more experience than I would. And even like you take a guy, take Billy Godbolt from Comp.
Mm-hmm.
He deferred to those guys, not because they're rocket scientists. They're not building the camshaft. They're applying the camshaft to the particular application that they're trying to make it work with.
Well, wait a minute. Now I'm going to be kind of a jackass, but he didn't defer to them for any such thing. He deferred to them because he said he's not a cam designer. If you give him a cam design, he can tell you how stable it would be, or you know,
Well, he is a cam designer. Take that back. He is a cam designer, but he's not a cam picker.
Exactly. Exactly. So he was talking more in that respect.
And John, before you get your panties in a bunch, I don't know if that's politically correct to say.
He wears panties?
He might. I don't know. I'm not gonna.
Now I know why he doesn't like you. You just told everybody to go wear his panties.
I'm not picking on the guy at all. I'm actually giving him
like
a little bit of credit.
Thong panties or like grandma panties?
Big thong panties.
Oh, he's a big dude?
I'm not picking on a guy. I'm not. And I've invited him to call whenever he's ready, 908-751-0211. And we could talk about turbo camshafts because undoubtedly he's got to have more experience in this than I do. But for sure, I would tell you that if you go back, if you listen to the Kenny Duttweiler one, there's a lot of information there that you could probably pick up to apply to what you're doing. I would think. Now, he didn't talk about specifically changing size of stroke or anything like that, but I think theory is going to be kind of theory here.
Yeah.
More or less.
Well, if it is boosted, it probably doesn't act too much differently because you're, effectively changing the size of the engine with every pound of boost that you throw at it anyway.
But is that using a power?
The cams in question this is Aaron.
Ted.
226 and 230. And so we're talking about a 4-degree intake duration difference and a 4-degree exhaust duration difference. Again, for me, if you were looking for the nth degree of power in something that was like super stock, you would see that stuff. Let's say 4. See, that's the other thing to do. +4. Everything has a plus after it now. You know what that is?
Yeah.
That's for people that don't know how to degree a cam. They've got, that's what, do you know? I never knew that because I'm looking at these cams like, what is this +4 or +5 and I'm like, oh my God, they're using a dowel pin as like, you can't move it. Like that's the place it has to go. Now maybe, my perimeter's been breached.
I know. Ooh. Where are the weapons?
I don't know if the turret's going to activate.
Jesus.
I don't know why people do that, but that plus is installation. In other words, it's a head, I guess, 4 is what they do. I would do, maybe, is there not stuff to do that with an LS? Are there not keyed
Good question.
crankshaft sprockets?
No, they are.
Okay, yeah.
Maybe
but I can understand this because this makes it easy.
Yeah.
Like when we used to have like some of the super stock stuff done and some of the circle track stuff done. I know guys love it when we talk about it. We did a lot of them. So we get the camshaft and we wouldn't call it plus whatever. We'd say it was doweled at.
Yeah.
So if we were familiar with the same timing set, everything would go together. But hang on, let me go back and look at that because I was busy rambling on.
Well, you say in a
1 degree of separation, that'll change the intake event a little bit. Honestly, I'd love to say that I could give you a solid answer on that, but I can't imagine that if I was looking at those two cams on paper without being fully educated on camshafts and turbo applications, I would tell you there wouldn't be a lot of difference between those two camshafts, just for me. Oh. Obviously, they changed their mind.
Yeah.
Turret popped up and they left.
Yep. Well, our guest that's coming on might be able to shed a little light on this stuff too.
Yeah, probably.
Can you see the phones?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay.
Thing with all buttons on it.
That's right there.
Yeah.
It's got a red button.
Ted.
Tom.
So I don't think there's enough information in that post anyway.
Well, he's asking for camshaft recommendation. Yes, you need to know all kinds of stuff, to try to make. But I mean, honestly, I'd never give anybody a turbo cam recommendation because it's outside of what I do.
Yep.
It would be like asking, I don't know, a guy who does offshore boats to recommend you a super stock drag race cam. They're two totally different things. And some of this experience has to come in. And that is where they do have more. I hate to say this. I might throw up a little bit in my mouth when I do it, but somebody like Little John or whatever probably is pretty good at this as far as figuring out what you need. I mean, he's done enough of them. He's got to know. And I don't care if some of his fanboys get mad at me. Go scratch.
Why? You're just saying all kind of nice stuff about him.
I did, except for the big panties.
I'm wondering when you're going to get around.
I wish he'd call. You know what the problem is? He probably thinks that I'm really this big of a dick.
Well,
I'm not this big of a dick.
You kind of are.
If I was that big of a dick, would I have gone back to look for the guy's question?
No.
And said, hey,
Maybe.
Mike was concerned.
Oh, please. Let's get the violins out.
Don't send me to my crying room.
World Smiles Violence.
So, yeah, that's the bottom line. If he says one is better than the other and he has a reason that he thinks it's better than the other, I think I defer to him. But
he's probably just got experience.
It's experience.
Yeah.
It's all it is. It's practical experience. And unless you've got, a ton of time with a particular combination of engines, I don't think that you could ever ask somebody. Now, I mean, he would have his opinion. Some of this is still opinion. If you tell the guy it's a street car, and I would do this too, you would lean in favor of making the thing a little nicer on the bottom, because everybody says, I don't care what it makes on the bottom. You've even heard me say that. But if it's a dead 100% honest to God street car, of course you do, because there's nothing worse than driving something like that.
Does the cam really matter if you have cathedral port heads, though?
No, that's magic. That fixes everything.
Everything.
So it really, I mean, I think you can leave it out. I think
in some cases you can.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So, all right, Nick, I wish we could be more help, but I just don't know enough about it. I really don't. And, but my opinion is you could probably use either, and I don't think there'd be a massive difference between either one.
I think the bigger one would be a little bit better at the small sizes that they're talking.
Well, if the engine's a 6.0 and like those were his choices of camshafts. Now, if he went through the actual aggravation of saying this is a stage 1, stage 2, stage 9, whatever, all the way up through for a 5.3, and then restaged them all again for a 6.0 and they were different part numbers, that sounds a little redundant. But if he did do such a thing, I would lean towards, since the engine's bigger, I would lean towards the larger camshaft.
Well, Nick's agreeing with me, so once again, I'm right, which is typically what happens.
Okay, that's fine.
PJ says stage 4, bro.
Never go full stage 4 right
stage
off the bat.
4 right off the bat, get some NOS.
That's like going to a 15/16 camshaft. You just can't do that.
Some people can these days. The digital age, man. All right, Anthony Ferguson's asking questions that we hate to answer.
Yes, I do have an update, but I don't want to share it at this time. Things are tough, man. Not going to lie to you. And there's not much I can do about it, but we're going to get more into that. I wanted to get into it this week. I didn't get the information I wanted over last week, so we're going to cover it next week, and then we'll tell you exactly where we stand. But they're actually good updates. So they're
Yes, you were right, Nick.
What?
I'm just answering Nick. You just keep on babbling.
Okay.
That's all.
That's why I get paid the big bucks.
That's right. It didn't make you wrong. It just made Nick right.
I didn't think I was wrong.
No,
Did I?
Right. No, you're not wrong.
Okay.
Don't get so touchy.
I'm not.
Ever since you started talking about girls' underwear, man, it's like. Anyway, speaking of girls' underwear, Allison's on. What's going on? I don't even know how to get away from that.
I don't. You just kind of just ended up on the table, and we just have to sit there and look at it.
Oh boy!
All right. Well, let's talk about the person who's calling in today.
We have a guest.
Yes, we do. Well, should we talk about that? We tried to get a guest, and it was all confirmed, and then it didn't happen, and that's why we moved to Tuesday.
I don't know. Do we want to be dicks like that?
I generally am.
Well, I mean, you do what you feel is right. I mean, we had a tire guy scheduled, and he confirmed last week that he was good, and
here we are.
Yeah, here we are. So, but anyway, today we have we're lucky enough to have Ben Strader calling in. He was racing this weekend with the little cathedral port.
I was going to say this fits right into the cathedral port thing.
Boy.
Yeah,
We'll have to ask him if he actually used a camshaft.
No, we got to ask him what stage.
Yeah, he'll know what stage. But that thing is badass, actually. The car went fast. I don't know if any of you guys follow that stuff, but, we'll save some of it. So we'll get to pick his brain about it. And I'm curious, too, if the big motor is going to go in that car or if it's going somewhere else. So we've got a lot of questions for him.
All right.
So, I would have thought he would have called already. I'm going to send him a text. And
Now, I guess we have a turbo S10 update. The header situation has been finally what we feel is rectified, and we're all set up. We're close. There's like virtually no other parts I kind of need. I don't think I need. Oh, wastegates.
Oh, we're talking about for the truck now?
Yeah. for the Turbo Tahoe.
Yeah, that's not a big issue. We can get them anytime.
And can we talk about the air-to-water intercooler for a minute?
Sure.
Why are you so against that?
It's all wet.
It's not that I'm against it. I just think it's a waste of time.
Why?
Because you're not trying to make 2,000 horsepower and make pass after pass with exactly the same inlet air temperature, and it's just a lot of work.
Yeah, but isn't it better even from the perspective of tuning and driving and all kinds of stuff that you have kind of a...
They can maintain one temperature.
Yeah, like a nice...
Yeah, it's better in all aspects.
Essentially thermal damping.
It's a big pain in the ass.
It doesn't look like that big a pain in the ass.
Okay.
And the cooler is actually a little smaller, like in physical size.
Yeah, if it's smaller, it's not really going to do anything. I mean, the coolers in race cars, as you probably know, you remember the one in the Camaro. I mean, it was as big as the passenger seat. It must have held 5 gallons of water. And the water would be hot at the end of a pass.
Yeah.
And that thing that thing only made 2,000 horsepower. I mean, it's not like the stuff they have today.
Only.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Keep doing that.
I'm not against it. It's just so much more work, and it's unneeded. I mean, at the best, you're going to make 800 wheel.
I got to rain on my parade like that.
I'm not. I've been over that. You're the one that brought it back up because you wanted to rile me up about something.
I didn't want to rile you up.
Why don't we just talk about how much power the turbos are going to make again? Oh, my God.
We could ask everybody else. Or post it on Naziak.
We should just ask right now. I mean, they're, 64, 66 Gen 2 Precisions, right?
Yes.
2 of them.
2 of them.
And somebody told you that the thing won't make 1,000 horsepower?
Didn't say that. But see, you're very, how can I say this?
Mean?
Chip on the shoulder-ish. I think it's the Ask Frank First guy coming back.
Yeah, it probably is.
And the Manly bet is actually in the house garage. So it's a little bit further away.
But just had a shake up in Canada. I heard Ask Frank First.
I don't even know where that came from.
I don't know where that came from either. That was some kind of connection that Tad's brain was making in conversations from like 20 years ago. The bad sector kind of filtered to the top. No, I look with the air to water thing. It seems to me that from observing something like Jeff's car, certainly knowing full well that the guys pack them with ice and they get a consistent low charge from start to finish. And for drag racing, I think it's pretty good because there's no situation where the intercooler heat soaks while you're doing whatever nonsense you're doing before you leave.
They are good. There's no debating that whether they're good or not. You can't talk about Jeff's deal and the turbo deal. It's 2 completely different things.
I believe the heat rejection system is the same. It doesn't matter if it's a turbo or a supercharger.
Yeah, but the supercharger, they just lend themselves to throwing heat right into the path because of how they are.
Right. So it should be worse.
It is worse. That's what I'm telling you.
Well, Jeff, the intercooler it's in his thing is like a little tiny, it looks like a mini heater core. The thing's so tiny, it's stupid. Like if somebody showed it to me, like if they had it all laid out on the desk and say, hey, we're going to put this much air over the top of this thing to make, say, 800 horsepower, I'd laugh at him. So what are you, stupid? You're never getting that much air through there. But he's got a little itty bitty tiny tank.
Can you not say itty bitty, please?
Why?
That just doesn't sound good.
Okay.
Good.
He's got a tiny little tank.
There you go. Tiny is the word that everybody's using.
He's got a tiny little tank, and it doesn't hold much in the way of volume.
Mm-hmm.
And he can get, an entire hard pass in without an astronomical temperature rise with a little tank.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the return road on the way back, it cools back down to just about ambient. It's real. And
I believe all that. I'm not even arguing it.
Okay. But you're just saying it's more work.
It's more work.
So you're lazy.
No.
Okay.
Nope. It's just not.
Well, why would Tom be lazy when you're the one doing it?
It's not. It's not worth it in a turbo application like you have.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
You're going to do it anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
I probably am.
I know.
Well, he's more so going to do it now.
I was looking at it from a couple aspects, packaging for where I want to put the intercooler and everything and how I want to plumb everything. I think it's easier.
Yeah.
Where are you putting the intercooler? On the front seat?
Directly behind the radiator, between the crank pulley and the radiator. So the turbochargers would fire right down and it would come right back up. It would be a little less work, except for running some coolant lines, which isn't really that big a deal. And a pump. And yeah, I guess if the pump fails, to me, it's just thermal mass. that if you have more cold water or more cooled off water, and that does become a problem because if you heat up all that water, you have to cool off all that water. It's
PJ races a little bit, right?
Yeah.
His car's pretty fast.
Yeah.
He says he'd used air to air if he could have.
Okay. All right.
But
put him on my list.
What do I know? What do we know? It's just so much easier, and I don't think you're going to realize. Well, you're not going to know if you realize any gains from it. It's just going to be a bigger headache.
Well, I mean, because it is a street car, I just wanted to always act kind of nice and the same. That's all. And I mean, I would think air to water lends itself to that.
You're getting hammered on the chat room, so
Well, fuck them guys.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Nobody knows anything.
I don't care. Where's Ben? Did you text him?
Yeah.
Okay. Is he calling?
I hope so.
I don't see anything on the phone yet.
I know.
Tad,
Yes.
why don't you have your car? You were supposed to have it today. I had the sound clip ready to play when you came up the driveway.
Did you find it?
Yes.
I knew you
Found it.
would.
I wouldn't be here anyway. Still be up there waiting for it to freaking get all the dyno.
Wait a minute. Are you hold on.
What?
Are you telling me they can't run on a dyno until you're there?
No, I'm telling you, it would be on the dyno and I'd be there. Well, actually, no, they'd still be putting the welding the bung in for the air return on the pipe.
Okay. Well, I mean, from what I understood, it sounded like it would be done. I mean, I realize I'm not picking on them not getting to it, but I don't know that because you were picking it up meant it would be on the dyno. I would like to hope that you got down there and be sitting there in the parking lot, ready to go. Hopefully washed and waxed and demolded.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
When are they dynoing that thing?
Oh, it's right now they got to put the, since I went to different intercooler piping, it doesn't have the return, the blow-off valve return, because I bought the stuff off Joe.
Okay, I didn't need the whole fucking story. I just asked when are they doing it?
I don't know when they're doing it because the pipe's got to be welded and the return put into my stock location and stuff.
Got it.
It's a different pipe setup.
Those guys. Who's the best local 4L80E guy? I don't know, man. I don't know.
Good question.
Local guys. I mean, I wouldn't go anywhere but
Local to who?
ATI. But that's just me. And he's not an advertiser.
Who? I mean,
Yeah, one of our Anthony was just asking for a local 4L80 guy.
I wouldn't even know. I mean, for me, if I needed trans stuff, I'd call ATI. And that's just me. That's who. I mean, the trans stuff, converter stuff. There were always a group of people we called for that stuff, and those were always the people we used. And I know that makes you a little close-minded. Take that back, Rossler. Guys like that. But it also depends on your budget. What you want to spend. So, all right. So, Tad, you're hoping this week.
Thursday, because I got all the time in the world. I don't have to work Fridays.
But I'm a little fuzzy on this whole thing because it sounds to me like you're saying you have to be there for them.
No, I want to be there.
Okay.
I don't want to be, oh, here's my card. Make my car pretty.
Okay. So see, now I don't think Tom quite caught that.
I did.
All right.
I heard it.
So part of this is it's got to get done when you're watching.
Well,
that's what I prefer.
I kind of hear that. That is kind of fun to watch your own car get dynoed.
Okay.
I mean, at least I got the picture of it when it first started and it ripped out all the crap out of the exhaust. But
how are you going to get there to drive it back?
I got my one friend. He lost his job, so now he's got
Alan?
No. Well, excuse me. That's pretty funny. No, my other one, he changed IT careers, thinking he's going to take a jump start, and it was fake news. It wasn't a corner office. They were going to have him go from branch to branch to fix computers. And he's like, that's what wasn't what it was supposed to be. It's supposed to be him in his own office.
Okay.
So
that's a cute story.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Anytime.
All right. I'm trying to think what else I had happen.
We ordered headers for you. Yep.
That's what I started the whole intercooler conversation because it had me thinking about the next things I got to make.
Yeah.
But I'm really not waiting for anything on that. There's a little bit of a question about how to do the fuel system because it seems like you get into a bad area if you're talking about E85 and support. Are you into two pumps? There are single pumps. Have you ever looked at those Automotives to see what they cost, like the in-tank pumps?
They're a lot.
They're like over a G.
Yeah, they're a lot of money. They're proud of their stuff.
Yeah. I was really surprised. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm not saying they're not worth it. They might very well be. but a G?
Yeah, that's a lot of money for a pump.
Yeah. So I think this thing, it looks like the pump that I was talking about, I think we talked about last week, would probably handle in the neighborhood of 800 with the 85, if everything is correct, if everything's kind of perfect. I don't like that because there's no headroom, but I don't particularly want to run two pumps. I guess a lot of people do it, but there's questions about how to interface with the fuel pump control module. You know, there's just a couple little things like what I'm trying to do, and I don't know if people get this. I want everything on my side before I take it apart. I don't want to get it all apart and be like, oh, here's another issue to solve. I'd like to fix as much of it up front as I could.
Yeah.
That's all. So, yeah. So we got headers.
That was a good move, too.
I still think I can do it, but how much time is, I mean, I'm still going to have to make a whole bunch of stuff. I got to make down pipes. I got to make all kinds of stuff. And I have gotten much better at TIG welding. Much, much better. Finished my welding bench, which I should have taken a picture of. It's all done.
Oh, good.
Look, there's a lot of people, like speaking of Rich Guido, he wasn't a TIG welder, and he did it himself. He figured it out. I mean, I'm not saying that I'm smarter than him. I'm not saying that I'm dumber than him. I'm just saying that this is something that a person can do if they put their mind to it. It can't be that bad. And I'm kind of getting better.
Good.
Okay.
You're still a good move buying the headers.
Well,
that would have been 6 months.
Yeah, it would have been time. It definitely would have been. But you don't have that feeling like you wanted to say, like, look, I did this. Like Rich can talk about his car and say, man, I built this whole, when somebody comes up to him, say, yeah, what'd you do? Well, I bought a welder and I learned to weld and I made this thing. That's impressive.
Mm-hmm.
There's something to be said for that. But no, I think I would agree with you. I think it was a good move. We got, do we want to talk about what we got or no?
Oh yeah, why not?
All right. Cook's has a up and forward header that actually happens to work on this truck. It's short enough, the way it's configured.
It's high enough.
It's high enough. Everything about it looks particularly good. And I know that like we'd always talked about doing it like sloppy mat style. And I looked at like turning a set of Corvette manifolds upside down.
Yep.
Which would have given you like a center outlet and would have given you probably kind of a nice place to start from. I just couldn't allow myself to do that. I wanted to do it a little nicer than that. I don't know if manifolds are truly better. People will argue that they are. I don't know how important the headers are, but if there's anything there, a true, nice equal length header has to mean something. So that's
I think it's sound more than anything, but
I didn't notice. Look, I'm sure the Subaru guys will hate on me.
Not even on that. Even on a V8, it's like, what's a car sound like with an open manifold as compared to an open header? Crap one way and good.
Yeah,
the other,
they do have a different sound. I wouldn't necessarily say it changed the overall pulses, like how the engine sounds. But I don't think any of that really matters once you put a turbocharger in anyway, does it?
No, it doesn't.
Well, Tad says his car doesn't sound like a Subaru with a header when it's equal length.
Yeah.
I've heard all of them, and they all sound that way to me. They sound like a motorboat with the prop underwater.
Yep.
But whatever.
Apparently it does. I mean, I had an unequal length on mine because that's what I had.
But we looked at, like, we had that one kid here from Armageddon. Should we talk about that?
Yeah.
How big a fuck up that was going to, oh.
Sure.
When you don't do LS stuff, specifically LS versus LT, I didn't know the flanges were different.
Yep.
I didn't know the port configuration was different. And thanks to the guy at Cook's, he's like, well, that ain't going to fit.
Yeah, good thing you didn't buy those things.
Yeah, that doesn't work. There's a different flange. So that's what started this whole thing, trying to figure out how to do this. There was, nobody makes a kit just for this truck, so you couldn't even do it if you wanted to do it. There's no kit like that. And there might be some other companies that make kits like that, but nothing that I've seen.
Don't know. That I don't know. But so we found a guy. Well, Armageddon makes kit, but we found a guy who knocked off Armageddon's kit and he made it better in a couple of ways. And it's made in USA and everything, and nice kit. And we were going to buy those headers, and thank God we called Cook's, because that would have been a disaster.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, not for me, but it would have sucked for you. I mean, I guess you could have changed flanges, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't have been a total shit show, but
Yeah, I mean, probably that wouldn't have been the end of the world to do. I probably could have changed them. I mean, I guess. But I mean, who wants to get into that if you're going to spend the money to get something?
Yeah.
So these things are particularly nice. They're kind of swept back and then forward, so it gives you a little more room. They're a 2.5 inch collector.
Yep.
By the way, anybody wants them cheap? I have a set of, actually I have 2 sets.
No, you sent a set back.
Well, they didn't go back yet. So if somebody wanted them, I have a set of Flowtech cab forward like turbo headers, and I have another set from some company. I think it's Speed Incorporated. I mean, they're a knockoff. You know, they're a Chinese header, but they're actually pretty nice. They're not bad made at all.
Said they were nice.
Yeah, but I can't use either of them. The Flowtechs,
long, right?
Yeah, they're long. That's the problem. They stick for what I want to do. They're not, and they got a 3-inch outlet, which is also I think kind of excessive for what I'm going to do. But the Speed Engineering ones, somebody wants them. I think I paid $1.50. I'll give them to you for $100. You know, because I don't want to send them back.
Yeah.
You know, sending them back to that guy. He's a guy that sells individual stuff. I know it sounds dickish, but I don't want to. I don't mind fucking with Amazon, but I mind fucking with a regular vendor.
Yep.
So that's
nice of you.
I honestly feel that way because I wouldn't want it done to me. You know, guys buying shit. Oh, that won't work. Oh, that won't work. Before you know it, the guy's sending back everything he buys, and
yep.
I can understand that. So if anybody needs them, I've got them, and I don't know if they'll work for you. They don't fit anything. They are made to just go forward and up on an LS. So that's the story with the Tahoe.
Yeah.
It's going.
Wow, it's 7:40. I don't know what's going on.
This is not like Ben.
No, he must have got jammed up because he at 3:30 we were talking,
Mm-hmm.
and he, you know, I sent him the usual number and time and everything.
Does he remember the time zone?
Well, I told him 7:15 EST.
Okay. Just checking.
I mean,
Not blaming it on you.
He's a fairly bright guy.
What else can we talk about?
So
we can talk about lava rocks if anybody really wants to.
Okay, grilled tuna.
God, what were we going to say, Todd?
have either of you two seen the latest about Ford? How they're dropping all cars except for the Mustang and the
Is that
Focus.
real?
It is
I don't
real.
know. Is it? Okay.
That's real?
It's real.
I thought that was fake news.
Unless you've been alerted to fake news before I have, but I got a pretty...
No. I'm
Dude,
just,
that was all over, like all kinds of different financial things and everything.
I read it and I was like, that's stupid. Somebody must have posted this from The Onion.
Well, where cop car is going to come from now? Then it's going to be all
I guess
Mopars. Probably.
Chevrolet.
They're going to discontinue everything except like the crossovers and
Trucks.
Crossovers, like was no cars at all. Like,
Only Mustangs and only the
that's what it
the
was.
Focus, but the European Focus or something like
The
that.
RS Focus.
That's a neat little car. I was behind one. It's actually a cool little car.
Yeah, they are.
They don't sound like a Subaru either. It was actually a pretty neat little car.
Yeah, they're a lot of money too.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
It's really crazy. But so Focus, regular Focus, Fusion, Taurus, every car in the line is gone.
Gone.
I guess they're going to.
Except Mustang and the freaking.
Wait a minute. Don't they make some of them one of stupid electric sort of cars?
No.
They don't have anything like that?
Yeah, the Fusion. Or no.
No.
Is a Fusion a hybrid?
I think they had some kind of hybrid something, but
Well, Chevy has, what was it? The Volt?
The Volt.
Yeah, the Volt.
Bolt, whatever the fuck that
Both.
thing was.
Yeah, Volt and Bolt.
Did they really?
Yeah,
Didn't
the
that get
Bolt's
dumped?
a little SUV.
Their marketing really needs some work.
They're terrible. You remember when they had the Volt on Fox? They gave one to Eric. What's his name? Eric Bowling, and the battery, like he was driving it from, Jersey City where he was living into the city, and the battery died in one of the tunnels.
No, did it really?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
true story. Yeah, I mean they have gas, but whatever.
Oh, is it a solar one?
Yeah. Well, that would have sucked. Solar, you go in the tunnel and you're dead in the water.
Well, I was kind of surprised. I did see that. I did read it in one of the financial things that I read, and I was kind of surprised. And I think Alan, to give him some credit, he's the one that told me about it before I saw it.
Don't give him any credit.
I had
What
to.
the hell's wrong with
I
you?
had to. He's having a bad day. He's in Canada,
John
so if you live in
Pioli.
Canada, you might want to be cautious.
Eh?
There's a wandering retard in the Montreal area.
This is a wandering hose.
He's in Montreal.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Why?
I could see him hammered in Montreal, and everybody hates us over there because it's like being in France, only closer.
The French guy was pretty good with us. He was good with Trump.
He was, but he was
I
here.
mean, we're not the ones that called his wife delicious.
Is she?
Or no, he called somebody's wife delicious.
Yeah, probably Trump's.
No, I think it was the Australian guy. It was, or it might have been. Was it Australia? I don't remember.
I think I remember that. Yeah, that's funny.
Well, I thought the French were not as big a dickheads as they were. I thought just the Canadians, certain areas, didn't like us.
When they see FUD.
Well, Canadians in Montreal, because it's Quebec is French. They wanted to secede from Canada, just like California wants to secede from here.
Well, California can go.
I know. I wish they would just fall in the ocean. Not really. I forgot we might have listened.
Well, my cousin's out before, but
not all of you.
Not all of you. Just around the people. If you look at the areas, look. Here's how this goes. If you live in an area where somebody felt the need to make an application to track feces, on the sidewalk, human feces, might add.
We hope you fall in the ocean.
That's one of those things that before it does fall into the ocean, because something just got to go wrong there. If that's what you got going on, those people got to move. But
all right. Wait, I got time out here because we're talking about nonsense, and one of our guys has a real car question. So I asked on somebody else's podcast the other night, can someone give me advice on how I should go about making passes on my newly swapped automatic? I've driven it around a couple of highway poles now for track passes this weekend. Manual valve body art car C4 behind a turbo 4.6. He wants to know how he should make test hits, I guess.
Well, I mean, is he looking like for the transmission break-in side of things?
I don't know. BR, clarify that question because, a transmission in my world is much like an engine. You put the car on jack stands and you make sure there's fluid in everything, and then you make hits.
All I ever did, run them through the gears, wet clutches assembled, so they were.
PJ just gave him all the advice he needs.
Press gas pedal hard.
Hit the skinny pedal on the right, push it to the floor until you run out of room.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All I ever did is that when I had a new trans and there was a guy that used to build them for me, and ironically, not picking on the Canadians, his name was Hoser, but he used to put them together and they were soak clutches, and we used to put it up on jack stands and run it through, first, second, third, stop, reverse, maybe some idle time just in third gear running. And that was it.
Yeah. I mean, somebody just said broken in. Like what is broken in? When you, oh, wow.
I would imagine taking high spots off clutches, off frictions, off steels.
But from the minute you start running an automatic transmission, you make it worse.
No. Yeah. I would argue with that.
I think you do.
I would argue with that because you do spend a little bit of time, like with a motorcycle wet clutch, to make sure that they're good. I don't think you put them in and just have at it. I think there's a couple little procedures, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but he said he's driven the thing.
If he's driven it, what are you waiting for?
He's made some highway poles and blah, blah, blah.
Maybe
he's asking flash the converter or,
listen, you ain't got to sneak up on it now. If you've driven a thing around for more than, I would say, probably 5 miles, you're probably fine. The only thing that I can tell you that I have actually paid attention to break-in wise is rear end gears and street gears. I paid attention to that.
Did you look at them?
Be like run them and then look at them? No. I know how to do them to pattern right and be quiet. Yeah. But I mean, those are the only things that I've ever really been concerned about breaking in.
Hey, we got a caller.
Yeah, we do.
Want to answer?
Sure. Hello.
Hey, you're on the air.
Hello. Oh gosh, now I'm nervous.
What's up, man?
What's up, fellas? Nothing. Sorry, I'm late. We're just we're doing the Holly factory training class. We do their West Coast training for them, and there's a class going today, and I got stuck in a discussion in there, but I'm free now.
You could have saved them a lot of time and just said, listen to me on the podcast. That would have been perfect.
I told them all to dial in when they're done. So
fantastic.
Good. Yeah, we figured something had gone awry with you. So how's everything? How have you been?
Doing great, man. Like staying busy like always and running around like with our hair on fire, but doing great. We've been out doing trade shows and getting a little bit of seat time in the race car and just goofing around, and kids are good. I'm good. Business is good. What the heck? I got nothing to complain about.
That's right. And you and I were talking over the weekend a little bit. You had some pretty exciting story about the race car. You were flying around that little sucker.
Yeah, that. What do you guys call it? Is it Cathedral Port Mafia or is it Square Port Mafia? What's the?
No, that's those idiots.
Yeah,
that's those all those guys that are just they're so. This is as bad as the political stuff. It really is. You got on one side you got the Square Port guys that just won't give an inch, and the Cathedral Port guys. It's nuts. I mean, the best thing that you've done is put a little bit of this to rest. That kind of both can work. they're okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think we definitely proved that this weekend, and to be honest with you, that thing surprised even me as well. But here's the I guess the point that I tried to make to everybody as the LS Fest in Vegas over the weekend, as guys were coming up, of course, and drooling all over the car and all that kind of stuff, and I was like, you got to understand, I'm an idiot. I have zero driving experience. I've always been an engine nerd, always been the tuner, the engine driver, but never the driver, right? And so like. I kind of built this car to have a little bit of fun and to learn some stuff. Tell me how a guy with no driving experience who's completely, and if I'm being honest, overwhelmed in the car, like I can't tell you what I was doing 100 feet out because I was just trying to remember to shift at the right time.
Hey, note to self, don't ever get in a plane with Ben.
Yeah. Isn't he a boat guy?
No, he's a plane guy.
No, I'm a plane guy.
Oh, that's right. Plane guy. That's even worse.
Yeah.
But,
so go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ben.
But, that thing, when you have a lot of seat time, like I do in airplanes, things just move slower, but in the race car, things are going fast for me. My point is that how does a guy like that go in 13 tries, right? Like I have exactly 13 passes in the car. We take a GM 243 Cathedral Port cylinder headed little nugget. It's 381 inches. It only has a 2-inch intake valve. We just went at 896 at 147 miles an hour and 4,100 feet of density altitude. Well, you know how we do that? We do that with data. We have sensors everywhere in the car. I can tell you what the shocks were doing. I can tell you what the tires were doing, the ride height, how much the axle's crushing the tire. I can tell you, what the converter slip is doing, and on and on and on and on. The point that I made to everybody in my booth is I'm not special. I just cheated. I used data and fixed the problems as we went along. And in literally my 13th time ever in the car, we take a Cathedral Port and go out and go 896.
Well, I wouldn't.
He's a little special.
I wouldn't call it cheated. I mean, he was using the available tools that we all have. Everybody should do things like this. Well, data matters.
I guess that's my argument. Not everybody has it because guys always think that, I'm saving money by not spending all, it's $3,000-$4,000, let's say $5,000. You're building this entire project car and they won't spend the money to buy a data acquisition system, but they will make 2 or 3 years worth of trips to the track and hundreds of passes and finally eventually get there when you could shortcut it. And are you really saving money by going the long way or is it worth just buying the stuff to have the data up front?
Yeah. All that time. Maintenance on the car,
two engine rebuilds,
yeah.
2 transes, 6 sets of tires.
But you're sneaking up on it.
Yeah, you really saved that money.
Yep, I'm sneaking up on it. Yep, exactly. Yeah, so that was really fun, and of course we just came off the whole Spinal Tap thing. I never got to talk to you guys about that, but that's our crowning achievement, I would say, for the Square Port side. So we're kind of home running it right now, both in the Cathedral and the Square Port stuff.
Sorry, Tom. How did you hit? How good a job did you do at hitting the torque converter on first shot? Because that thing's an automatic, right?
Yeah, it took 2 tries. I actually have, being in Arizona, we spend a lot of time down there at Tucson Dragway, which is owned by Jim Hughes, that used to be enrolled in, Hughes transmissions, converters, and all that. So he actually helped me a ton. We did the first one and they took their best swing at it, which is exactly what you would kind of have to do. And what I did was I rented his facility the first time we went out with the car, and we made about 6 or 7 runs, and we knew immediately the converter was too tight. It would want to, you let go of the button, it would want to stall about 6,300. I was shifting at 82, 8,400, and it would fall back 2,000 RPM at the shift, and you only have a power glide, so you're kind of screwed. So once again, we took the data, and I gave it to him, and he said, I know what to do. He sent me a different converter, and we put it in the car, and, I let go of the button, it goes to 7,500. I shift the thing at, I don't know, that faster. Then I shifted it at 8,800, and it went through the lights about 9,100. So not a lot of Cathedral Port guys doing that, right?
No, probably not.
They're all not? I thought those things were magic.
They are magic. They make so much power down low, you can just drive around in high gear all the time. That's how they work.
No. Yeah, exactly. Wait till I put the little smaller, 30 cubic inch smaller, 358-inch deal in there. That makes 100 more. So it'll be cool.
Are you putting it in?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But the only reason I haven't, well, there's two reasons I haven't. One, we're still using it for the class, and there's more to do. Like, it has room for improvement. I just went to Denver with the block about 2 weeks ago, and I visited a buddy that I worked with in Pro Stock. Bob Reinhardt runs Madcap Racing Engines up there. And so he put the block in his CNC machine and bored out all the lifter bores and put in bushings for a 937 keyway, and that way we could get more aggressive with the camshaft. And I sent the cylinder heads off to a buddy that worked with Nick Ferry and those guys at Patterson Elite, and did some cylinder head work, and now we've got that cylinder head another 20 CFM or so. And so, yeah, it's got more in it.
Jeez.
My goal, I don't know if I want to say it out loud, but my goal is it's 358 inches. I think it's possible to make 900 with it.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Spicy.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, hey, you know what we forgot to do? If anybody's listening, my name is Ben Strader, and I have a company called EFI University.
Yeah, Tom. What the hell?
We announced them in the beginning.
Okay.
He said, hey, we got a caller, and I just started talking. I apologize for that.
That's all right. No, we said you were.
That's usually Tom's job. I'm the guy that pushes the red button. That's my job.
You're like Trump, basically.
No, that's the local joke, because he pushes the red button to tape the show, and
I
he
fucked
didn't
it up
do that
last
last
week.
week.
Yeah. Kidding. Yeah, no.
Well, we'll have this from time to time.
Yeah. So yeah, this is Ben Strader, and he is the president and head honcho at EFI University.
And I can personally vouch for the online training courses that he has. I took the 2 online courses, and I would, gladly would love to take some more advanced ones if you ever get any together that can be done like in the online format. I think it gets too tough.
Sure.
But those courses, fantastic foundational stuff. I mean, for me,
cool.
It really was. And you know what? Like things like units of measurement, kind of take it all for granted. Yep. But I never knew what Kelvin really was. I mean, I knew what it was, but I didn't know what it was, and I didn't know how it all tied into how a computer thinks.
There you go.
So there's a lot, a lot of little examples in there. I mean, look, to be clear up front, Ben doesn't advertise. He doesn't ask us to plug his stuff. I'm just telling you that I legitimately took the courses, and I enjoyed it. Go back and listen to the episodes about it. You can hear I fucked them all up too.
That's true.
But it's good.
This is going to be easy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's funny.
So hey, I saw you
feel that way. That's really cool.
I saw your logo several times on the Street Outlaws show.
Oh, nice. Yeah. We've had a lot of good friends from that show. They've really done well, and we've helped them, and they've helped us, and it's nice to hear that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've seen ours, I've seen yours, and actually I have a bunch of stuff going on with a couple of those guys now too. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, right on.
So
I haven't talked to you in a while. Do you want to hear about Spinal Tap?
Hell yeah.
Yes.
Of course.
Oh, dude. What an experience. What a crazy deal that was. And, I went to, it's been about a month now. Well, maybe a little less than a month now. But for those of you guys listening that don't know, myself and Billy Godbold over at Competition Cams took on a personal challenge. And Billy got the okay from the upper management at Comp to work on a project with us where we decided it would be funny, or I should say easy, to take an LS7 based engine and try to reach 11,000 RPM. So what's your demographic, Tom? You guys have listeners that are like our age, or would anybody even get the reference to Spinal Tap?
Yeah, some would, but most wouldn't. Yeah. There's a couple.
Yeah, well, if you guys are listening, you don't know what it is, just Google, Spinal Tap because it goes to 11. You'll figure it out. But anyway, after like 2 years of trying, we finally succeeded in building an LS7 Valvetrain that is extremely stable at 11,000. In fact, I would venture to say it's extremely capable at 11,300. We actually took the thing as far as 11, almost to 11.7. But if I'm being fair, I wasn't that happy up there. So
what would be?
Killer, man. We actually after we achieved it, we decided, well, here's the deal. A lot of these modern valve springs, they don't lose load like the old school stuff used to do. You'd make a run and you'd pull the springs and see how much load they still have on the seat, and you'd see them drop 10, 15, 20 pounds, and you'd change them. Well, man, it seems like now they just go and go and go and go and go, and then all of a sudden you've got a broken spring. And so we decided that we really need to endurance test this. Now, keep in mind, it's one thing to build an engine or Valvetrain that'll go to 11,000. It's another thing to do it with over an inch of lift. This thing has a 550 lobe on the camshaft and a 1.9 rocker arm. So for the mathletes out there, that's inch 045 at the valve.
Wow.
Yeah, that's 1,250 or so pounds of spring pressure, opening 85 or more times a second.
Now, you see, unfortunately, when I hear that stuff, that reminds me how old and how out of touch I am. Because, it seems like a lot of people now talk about valve lists that are well in excess of what we would have ever used, like back in super stock or anything else. And and I'm sure that, everything does change, and valve spring, advancements and cam advancements, all that other stuff to happen. But Jesus Christ, when a guy that's familiar with motors hears a 550 lobe, like, what?
I know.
It's hilarious.
Well, so I'll let you in on a secret then for my next little deal. I've been working with Jessel, and they called me today and said my spool is ready. So they made a cam spool for me. That goes to Comp Cams. They grind the lobes on it. We send it back to Jessel. But we built a 63 millimeter core camshaft for our Spinal Tap LS project that has a 585 lobe. So 585 at a 1.9 rocker, that's inch 112 of lift for anybody that's doing the math.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, Ben, what are those? Are those tool steel cores?
Yeah, S7 tool steel, yeah.
So they're cheap, too.
They
you just throw them in like
they
candy.
Practically give them away, and Jessel gives everybody a deal,
Well, they always have given everybody a deal on everything.
Right, yeah.
No. Their stuff is...
There's a lot of amazing companies out there that are so good they don't have to give a deal. Frankly, Jessel's one of them.
Yes, they are. Actually, their building is... I can throw a rock from our building to their building.
Would you?
I could. Not that I would. No, we like those guys. We're
No, I love them.
We're tight.
It's really expensive, and I need to get some help. But
yeah, childhood friend of mine, Rob. He's been there, God, forever and ever and ever.
Yep.
I talked to Rob.
They're really good to us.
Yeah, no, they're all really good people.
Yeah, they are.
For sure. Doesn't Joe work there too? Joe Siri? I think he does.
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm gonna. We've talked about this all the time. I probably should get Rob to come on here. His sister lives right near me.
The stories they could tell.
Oh yeah. His sister lives right near here. He might even be up here from time to time. I should ask him.
Well, we should tell the listeners too. Back to Spinal Tap. If I remember correctly, you had some pretty badass videos that were online with that thing going over 11,000, right?
Yeah, it's crazy how many people, like if you go to our Facebook page or Comp's Facebook page or CPG Nation or anybody that was involved in that project, everybody was passing the videos around. They got millions of views and hits. It was pretty crazy. But, it's weird how many people watched the video. And you got to remember, this is a Spintron. So maybe there's people out there that don't know what that is, so I should start with that. But it's kind of like a dyno where your engine's connected to it. But instead of the engine spinning the machine is an electric motor that's spinning the engine. And so we use that to spin the engine at whatever RPM we want without combustion so we can evaluate the Valvetrain, right? So it's amazing to me. There's no headers on the thing. There's no intake manifold on the thing. In the video, you can see it. It's amazing to me how many people watched the video and said, cool, how much power did it make? To be honest with you, so many people were doing it like at the trade show. We were at that LS Fest this weekend, and you're working the booth and you're talking to people, and I was a little bit humbled and kind of overwhelmed at the number of people that came by to high five and shake hands and say, I watch all your videos and I listen. And, but there were so many guys that said like, how much power did Spinal Tap make? And I finally just started saying, it's one of those top secret things I'm really not allowed to talk about. And they're like, oh yeah, I totally get it, man. Cool, bro.
Oh, that's good stuff though. But I figured a lot of people saw that.
They did. It was really fun, man. It was an amazing adventure. We broke lots of parts along the way. We literally were like, oh yeah, that's not a big deal. We'll just put more spring in it, more cam. And, I think a year ago, we went to like 9,700 and destroyed everything. And then we got to like 10.2 and broke some stuff. And so it was stressful, this trip out. So we were emotionally high for several days after it, having accomplished our goal. So, but I don't know that a lot of people really understand how hard it is. Like, just based on some of the comments on Facebook, you just go, man, the deal is you're accelerating these parts, this tappet, lifter, push rod, rocker arm, the retainer, the spring, and those things all have kinetic energy that you're imparting to them as you do that.
Yep.
Well, the only thing you have to stop them is the potential energy that's stored in your valve spring, which is also being accelerated and has its own mass and kinetic energy. And the difference in total energy in the system trying to get from, say, 10,900 to 11,000 is enough to completely wipe out the entire project. So like now it's almost like everybody I talk to goes, oh yeah, you went to like 11.7. Oh, that's cool. I'm like, yeah, you have no idea the amount of stress that we had. We wanted to do it live, and the folks at Comp weren't too sure about that. So they told us, look, you can go to 10,900, and then we'll go from there. So
wow.
If you make it that far, we'll talk, and I don't blame them. I mean, the catastrophic nature of something like this, if it comes apart, dude, you'd need like a CSI investigator to tell you what failed first. There don't be anything left. So
that's true.
It's not easy. 100 RPM is astronomically more difficult as you get up there in the stratosphere like that.
Let me ask you a question. So up in that range, up over 10, I mean, you had to get into an area, well, after all the research that you did and part swapping and everything, you had to get into an area that it cleaned up pretty well, right? And then I guess it started getting bad. I think you said 11.7. How good?
Well, to be honest, like 11.4, 11.5. We turned it to 7 anyway.
Okay, so where over 10, and was it good, and how good did it look? Because it's amazing in and of itself that you could put a package together that harmonically is pretty much under control, right?
Oh yeah, extreme control. And so to put it into perspective for you and for anybody listening, what we look at is we have a laser that's actually pointing at the valve, and it measures the actual valve motion relative to our theoretical lift profile that we should have. What we look for is the amount of deflection on the opening side where we don't get as much lift as we thought we were going to get. And then we look for loft over the nose where the energy in the parts that are screaming up the opening ramp of the camshaft cannot be withheld by the spring, and so they just continue to go up. And then on the closing side, when it gets on the seat and it bounces off. So what we really look for is we don't like to have more than about 15 thousandths or so of valve bounce, and really probably not more than about 15 or 20 thou or so of loft, that lifter coming off the cam. And so what's really interesting is you'll see, and I can send you an email, some pictures and stuff with the actual data that we have, but you'll see it plotted starting at 7,000, 7,500, 8,000, like a dyno sheet. And what's really interesting is like at 7 and 7,500 and 8, we actually get less actual net lift at the valve from deflection in the Valvetrain. And then all of a sudden you get into this harmonic where the thing starts lofting the valve around 9,500 or 9,800, and we're getting like, instead of an inch of lift, we're getting inch 020 or something. And then it'll look like a hump, and it'll just go back down and be calm again at like 10.7, 10.8, 10.9, and you get to 11 and it starts going back up. And then all of a sudden at like 11.4 or 11.5, it literally just goes off the chart. It's got 60 or 70 thou of loft instantly.
Yep.
So like in a 50 RPM change, it just goes bonkers, just berserk. And you're like, you can hear it in the way the thing sounds. I got goosebumps literally right now just talking about it.
Yep.
Thinking about how much money that almost cost me.
Yeah.
But you can actually see in the data, like there's this resonant harmonic frequency where like it's happy, it gets a little bit unhappy, it kind of goes back to being happy, and then it's way out of control.
Yep. And actually going up through the RPM, like if you were running that thing, you would hear that like clear as day.
Absolutely.
Well, what I was going to ask is that if it's stable at, say, 11, are there places below, does it have any really bad areas that you're just never in, like
Nothing.
Below 11?
No, which is amazing.
That is
that's
amazing.
A good point. When you look at certain airplanes that have a propeller on the front, they have the same issue, and they literally have like a little red band on the tachometer. You can be below this, or you can be above this, but do not be in this range.
Run through it. Yep.
Yeah, based on our parameters, we don't want more than like 15 thou bounce, more than 15 or 20 thou loft. We had nowhere in the entire thing from idle to like 11.3 that ever exceeded our danger zone value by the time we got done. And if I'm being fair, which I rarely ever am, we probably have more duration in the camshaft than the engine will want to run good there. And the reason is for any given amount of lift, the more duration we add, the more it slows everything down because you have a longer period of time to reach max lift and get back to the seat. So, we probably cheated a little bit there and ended up with 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 or 6 degrees more duration than I will end up running in the engine. But I also don't need to go to 11.5 or 11.7. I need to peak at 10.7 or 10.8 and maybe just go 11 or 11.1 through the lights.
Now, from a goofy standpoint, just something that I wondered. When you do the test on, say, the Spintron, or even, say, the dyno test, I guess what I'm trying to say, does the rate of engine acceleration alter the valve acceleration enough that it becomes an issue? That the actual rate of the engine acceleration changes the acceleration rate of the Valvetrain and makes it appear that it's turning faster in, say, because you're covering the same amount of time or the same amount of distance under less time because you're accelerating through it.
Sure. Yep. So that is absolutely a factor. And so there's only so much of the stuff that you can do in a fixed environment like Spintron or even an engine dyno before you got to take it to the track and learn, But I will say that most of the improvements in things like Cup and Pro Stock and these high-level things have all happened because of the ability to do this stuff on the Spintron. So what we end up on the Spintron generally tends to work pretty good in the vehicle. Now, having said that, Billy had a really interesting presentation last year at PRI where they had put a very high resolution encoder on the camshaft of a Pro Stock engine, and it like almost makes you sick to your stomach because they noticed like when the thing would run through 9500, 10, 10.5, 11, 11.2, whatever, there were times when there was so much torsional vibration in the camshaft that it would actually, let's say you look at the data at 10,500 RPM. Well, the camshaft 8 times per engine cycle would be speeding up to like 11,000 RPM and then slowing down to like 8,500. So it's actually like got all this backlash in the camshaft that's happening every time there's a cylinder firing or a camshaft lobe event or whatever. And it like makes you just want to like not even look. Just don't watch because it'll make you sick. You know what I mean?
See, I thought I heard something like that happen. I don't think it was on fuel cars. I think I was talking to you about it. That the rate, Tom, I think the rate of acceleration of some kind of car, that the actual acceleration rate was whacking the valve springs.
Yeah, it used to be alcohol dragster.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, because they accelerated faster than any other engine. They still might.
Yeah.
And, back to what you were saying, that's a good point. But I wanted to ask Ben your opinion. Do you think maybe because you get through the lower RPM, resonant areas so hard and so fast that maybe you're not seeing them because you're not looking for them anyway? Yeah,
absolutely, which is okay. If you got a drag race like this deal, the Spinal Tap deal, when we run the engine on the dyno, it'll probably start the dyno pull at like 8,200 or 8,400 or something like that. So we don't care if it's out of control at 4,500, but the reality is it's just not going to be. Right. Because remember that the kinetic energy in the system is 1/2 the mass of the system times the square of the velocity. So when we're only at 4,000 RPM, our V squared part is so low, we have tons of potential energy left in the spring that we're not getting out of control.
I didn't take an additional language in high school, by the way. So I don't know how many of our listeners did, but
the springs are bigger.
Yeah.
I understood velocity.
Yeah. That means fast, right? Or that means speed. No, I actually hear what you're saying, and I would agree down low, but I would also think that there's probably like if you did some steady state stuff, in the 7,000 range, you might not that you will, but you could possibly find an area where it hated everything.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all. In fact, we had quite a bit of discussion when we were at the Spintron doing it over in Memphis. As it was ironic that whatever RPM we would peak at, like when we did 10.5 and then we tried to get to 10.7 and then 10.9 and then 11 and 11.2 and so on, I kind of noticed that it was always the worst right at the top. And I kind of wondered out loud, and Billy and I all the guys kind of kicked it around, if maybe some of that wasn't necessarily that it was getting out of control there, but it was that we were reversing direction and starting to pull the engine back down instead of accelerating up.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's really that change in direction that could be really harsh.
Yeah.
So you got to think that's what happens when you switch gears.
Yep. That could very well be.
So for that reason, it's like that's why we had this. You remember the movie like Top Gun where they had the hard deck? Like you can't go below the hard deck.
Yep.
For us, that was 20 valve ounce or so, and that was our hard deck. If that happened, then we switched load profiles. But dude, what a crazy experience! Like I've never ever experienced anything like that ability of a company the size of Comp Cams, where we literally ran the thing at like 3 p.m. We look at the data and Billy goes, okay, I know what to do. Follow me. And we like walk to the other side of the building, sit down in his office. He designs a completely new load profile, sends an email to the guy in the other department who puts it in the CNC machine. We go have dinner. We come back at 8:00 in the morning. The cam's in the grinder. By noon, we have a new camshaft. We put in the engine. We run again. Like, that was crazy to be able to do that.
That's so cool. It really is.
That was the best thing I've ever done in my career.
Mike looks like a jealous kid right now.
Yeah, well, I sit here and think about how long I was waiting for, to get a camshaft. I've got, a motor on a dyno with a hole in the middle of it. And,
for a week and a half.
Yeah, we should have about a week and a half. We'll get it to you.
Ben has it over dinner.
Wish I was Ben. Jeez.
Yeah.
A lot of people wish they were Ben.
Hate us because they ain't us.
Right. No, that is pretty cool though.
So,
and they're, not only the ability to do that, which I think we all knew they had, but the ability to want to do it and, further the cause. And it's really cool.
I mean, for a little guy like me, and honestly, I feel that way, to be able to be associated with a company like that and get enough credibility that they're willing to bend over and do something like that to make a project like this happen. Because, they said, look, we're learning too. We want to take all this and immediately apply it in all of our other stuff. And it was so incredible when we did it, and it was on Facebook Live, and we're high-fiving, and like all of a sudden our phones just start blowing up. I mean, you got titans of the industry calling Billy and going, hey, what are you doing? You got John Kazi calls over there, and guys from Cup Shop start calling and going, hey, what are you guys doing? That's pretty cool. I watched your video. And I'm like, it was super duper humbling to like say I was involved in that.
That's neat, man. Congrats.
Jeff just said, the stage 11. So
it is a stage 11 camshaft, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, one of the guys asked, is the oil heated in the Spintron? I don't even know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I kind of thought it would be.
Yeah, we have to pay attention to, that's another thing. The oil chemistry is so important on something like this. I mean, plenty of guys talk about zinc and, everybody knows ZDDP and all that, but that's only one little minute portion of the story. And so, I work a lot with Lake Speed from Driven Racing Oils, and, they make special stuff for us, and as they do for lots of other teams, you know what I mean? But like, I have 5-gallon pails of racing oil that we run on our engines here that don't even have labels on them. You know what I mean? Like, here, try this stuff, and then we'll send a sample to the lab. But, think about the push rod loads and forces on this thing. You got 1,250 pounds of spring pressure, and let's say, just to make the math easy, it's a 1.9, but let's say you got a 2-to-1 rocker. Well, you got 2,000 pounds of force and static on the push rod.
Yeah, just then static without acceleration. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's over 10,000 pounds of force on those push rods. So there ain't a lot of room left for a film of oil between the rocker arm, the push rod, and the lifter. And so there's some magic in the oil chemistry that you do to do this stuff. So I would not recommend too many guys out there just run out and buy a big lumpy camshaft and rev it up, because I've already done that and you'll hurt yourself.
Yeah, it's not how any of that works. That's for sure.
Right.
And Lake's pretty slick, isn't he?
Oh man, that dude is as good as they come.
Yeah. I spent some time. He was on the show about a month ago, and then we spent some time in Dubai together.
Did you go to? I was going to say, didn't you guys go to Dubai? Everybody went but me. I feel like I missed the invite or something.
You want to go?
But that's cool. Yeah, heck yeah.
Well, I'm going to talk. I'm going to talk to you. We'll talk about that. I have an idea.
Okay. Yeah, I felt like I was the only guy that didn't get to go. Man, I cried on my pillow for like 2 days.
Don't feel bad, Ben. He didn't even ask me.
Dang, I get
just gonna say no.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say no anyway, but
yeah.
Nah, but it's cool. We stay pretty busy, and now that I get to play with the race car, and it's so cool that for so long we did the cathedral port thing, then we did the square port thing, then we did the spinal tap thing, and now I'm working on some really, really interesting stuff with the new canted valve 10-degree pro stock heads that Dart has out. So we got a couple projects with those in the works, and we're just rock and roll, man.
Well, I got a question. Is all of this experimentation, are you bringing it to your classrooms? Every
single ounce of it is done for and in the classroom. Like, I might not say all of our secrets, on the radio or on the internet, because I got to have some reason for guys to come here, but I have if you walk into our shop, you can see everything laying out in the open. Like, we have no secrets. The only reason we even do this is so we can share it with other people and make the whole industry better.
Mm-hmm.
We're just greedy, and we want to make money while we're doing it so we can feed our kids and stuff.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, you got to do that.
Yep.
That's awesome.
So every single bit of it is open for discussion and whatever. Yeah. No secrets. We're not a pro stock team.
I like it.
Yeah. So the point was that all this is stuff that you could learn about by going to EFI University.
Yeah, all these guys listening. That's a
shameless plug, right?
No, it's a legit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even shameless. It's I mean, could you imagine being the guys that were, working or being enrolled when this whole project is going on? I mean, you can't.
No, those guys they're pumping their chest right now.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't replace that experience just doing it all on your own.
You
just can't.
Anywhere else either. Like you can't call up any of the race teams in NHRA or anywhere else and say, "Hey, can I come by for a couple of days and look at what you're doing?" Like, no. And so, we only do all this expensive research and development and kind of cutting edge research so that we have something to share with people that they can't get any other place on the planet, bar none. I mean, I got a 15-year head start on all the other guys that are doing tuning schools, and I know there's a bunch of them, and some of them are even doing a great job, but you can really only mimic like what we did in the past. You have no idea what we're working on next, so I don't even worry about it. We just keep going forward and working on new stuff, and we teach the things that we want to learn. So we do research, we learn it, we turn around and share it with new people, and then we move on and learn more stuff.
I mean, at this point, Ben, is there any competing educational facility like this? I mean, is there anything else like this? Yeah, I don't think there is.
I think the guys, like for the engine side, not necessarily the fuel injection tuning side, because we are still the undisputed heavyweight champ of that, right? But like on the engine side, I would say Samtech in Houston does an amazing job. They're a fantastic school. They turn out some great guys, a lot of really good dudes I meet that are in the industry working. The problem is their demographic is geared towards young guys that just graduated high school that can spend the next 2 years basically, it's either go to trade school, go to college, whatever. You're not going to find a lot of guys that are our age or older that are really interested and passionate that can take 18 months and go to school.
Yeah.
So everything in our program, from the EFI tuning side that can help people to learn the basics of EFI through really advanced high-level stuff, and on our engine side is geared like an a la carte menu where you could come for 3 or 4 days and just get very laser beam focused on single subject matter, and really get value that way. So I would say that, University of Northwestern Ohio, they have their program, which is fantastic. They do a great job, but none of those really share the formula that we do, which is a la carte, single source, built for adults kind of stuff.
Oh, sorry.
Adults.
Silent time.
No, I was taking it all in.
Yeah, same.
So I would say, there really isn't anywhere else on the planet you can go and spend 3 days and get the experience that you get here. Not information, because we don't do that, right? Like we're very, very specific that we don't just blabber out information. What we do is provide a learning experience that people walk away changed. And that's really important, because we don't get government subsidies. We don't get, VA loan money. We don't qualify for any of that being so small. So we're a for-profit business. And if guys walk away and don't have a good experience, then we lose. So we can't afford that. So we jump through the hoops.
So your deal, I'm going to sound stupid right now, but that's pretty common for me. EFI 101 is how you started? Or no?
EFI 101. Yeah. EFI 101. I did in June 23rd of 2003, almost 15 years ago. I did it in Garland, Texas.
We have a guy listening right now who was on EFI. He wrote EFI 101 maiden class grad here.
Nice. Who's that?
P. Dang. I think that's Pete.
What's up, brother Pete?
That's Pete, right? Yeah. I believe I'm friends with him on Facebook somehow.
Yep. For probably the first 10 years, he had a quote that we used on our website. And so, he's my hero. I love that guy.
Oh, no kidding.
Yep.
I think he's he torments Paul Yaw quite a bit, if I remember this guy correctly.
Well, but I mean, really, who doesn't, right?
And who shouldn't? Yep, that's him.
Right.
Yeah, he just confirmed my suspicion. So
Paul just did a bunch of work for me on the shocks on this car, and by work I mean he kept my shocks for like 2 months, and I couldn't move my car around because it has struts in the front and I couldn't steer it. So, but,
did it work?
Well, I mean, it seems like it. I went out there this weekend, and like I said, we turned the whole place upside down. Nobody in a million years thought that car was going to go that fast.
I did.
So,
I actually knew. I had a lot of confidence.
I thought it was capable of it, but I thought it would do that like, in Bakersfield or Woodburn or somewhere down at sea level. Never did I think it would do it at 4,100 feet.
Yeah, particularly good air.
That thing went 123.7 60 foot.
Telling you, man, you ought to bring that thing to Reading in September.
Oh yeah,
Then go 850.
What?
Yeah,
I mean,
on the
you
occasion.
might have said it before. What does it weigh?
2535 with me sitting in it,
Gotcha.
and that's with a power glide and a 8.8 rear end with a 488 gear. The engine is literally the most basic bitch thing you've ever seen. Now, I'm really proud of it because our students built that thing, but it's 381 inches. It's a GM 243 head. It's not an aftermarket head. It's a cathedral port deal. It still has a 2-inch intake valve, a 155 exhaust. It made like 778 on the engine dyno, and it just runs, man. Like it's a badass piece.
And it's obviously right. I mean, that's a testament to having everything right. Like you started the show saying data. You know, you used it all, and you're not wasting anything.
I don't even know how to verify it, but I've had several people text and email me and say they actually think that's a world record. Like nobody's ever gone that fast on a 243 cylinder head.
All right, listen to me.
It depends on the color of the brake calipers.
Brake caliper color, you know, it might be. Is it carbon fiber drive shaft?
Yeah, the week it is.
Yeah, because
that's a
there's no doubt it's a world record.
Yeah, it'll fit in somewhere.
We'll figure out what world record you have by next week.
perfect.
All right.
Perfect. When the first guy texted me, he said, "Dude, I think that's a record for a 243 head." And I said, "Well, that was easy. It took like 13 tries."
Yeah, and 1.5 days of a weekend, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez.
No, that was actually my second trip out. The first time we went down to Tucson with it, it went 932 straight off the trailer. Like I literally took the thing out of the trailer and I was licensing in it. Remember, I have no experience. I was licensing in it, so I did 2 hits like to 60 feet just to make sure it would go straight, and I just let the button go, and what's it going to run? The first full pass it ever made was a 932 at like 144.
Oh, yeah, so realistically, like time hasn't slowed down for you yet much at all.
No, like literally, I just last week, was really stoked that I let go of the button, or not last week, I'm talking like this week on Sunday, a couple of days ago. That run where it went fast, I let go of the button and it picked the front tires about 3 inches off the ground, and I thought, oh, this is good. Now don't miss the shift, So,
no, but it still seems fast to you, I think is what Mike says.
Oh, yeah.
Mike means.
Absolutely.
Well, not only that, when the environment that you're in changes, like I remember I talked about this, and I think Tommy Martino might have said it when we had him on. I remember when he moved from comp, like I guess he went from C or B,
Like from
into
B
Pro
altered to
Stock.
Pro Stock, yeah.
And he only picked up like I think it was like 5 mile an hour more because B's a badass class.
Yep.
It's no joke.
Yep.
At least back then compared to Pro Stock.
Billis.
Yeah, and he picked up, I don't know, I think it was like 5 miles an hour. I said, "Did you notice that 5 miles an hour?" He's like, "Totally different world."
Yeah.
Like,
Well, and you know what else is crazy is like I went from I owned the track that day because we rented it privately to like now there's a guy in the other lane and you're trying to stage properly and not look like an idiot. You know what I mean? Like there's so much more pressure when you're out there and there's people in the stands watching and you're like, don't screw this up. Don't screw this up.
Tom gets that performance anxiety.
Yeah, exactly. They make a pill now, but
That's so not true. Tom does not get that, Ben, just so you know.
All right. I'm a little defensive there, buddy.
No,
I'm talking about the drag strip. I don't know what you're talking
I'm just
about.
telling the truth.
Okay. All right.
I was talking about a nitrous pill. I don't know what you guys got. But anyway,
Well,
so who has the world record for most times on your show? Is it me?
no.
I don't know.
No, I think it's Tad.
Man,
Probably Ted.
okay.
It could be Howard.
I feel like I'm on here all the time.
No,
You actually haven't been on in a while.
Howard. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, Howard, and I think Banish has been on a few times, more than once or twice.
Well, per hour, it's
Great.
Banish has the record.
He might.
Yeah.
He
Right.
might.
Yeah. Greg has the best saying in the world that I've stolen from him blatantly, and he says you either have data or you have an opinion, and I've like used that so many times I can't count it.
I got to tell you, the best thing about ever doing this podcast was meeting all you guys, because there's so much good information out there available that people just have to realize all you got to do is talk to the right people. And, guys like Ben, Banish, Paul, Shane, all these guys, there's such a wealth of information here.
Yep.
And and some of it is found in the podcast as much as you can stuff in.
Yeah.
Well, and what's crazy is like what the podcast does is it provides a platform for guys to learn from pretty much straight shooters. Like nobody's coming on your show and like blowing smoke because first of all, somebody would call them out on it. But second of all, like all those guys you just mentioned are secure enough in their position in the industry. They're not worried about, I can't give away any secrets. And I almost think like sometimes when you find guys that are super, super secretive, it's because they don't actually know that much. And
I would agree with that.
you know, this is a platform where guys can discuss from dudes that know without worrying about it being kind of altered, you know.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Although there is one layer of guys that are secretive because they do know everything.
I'm not saying there's not. Don't get me wrong. There's guys way above my level, but you know, when you go to the Saturday night track and you got guys that are hiding their laptop, but they literally can't.
Yeah, because they don't want somebody to be like, you idiot.
Yeah, you were playing blackjack.
Why do you have all sevens in your table?
Yeah, he's playing solitaire while his tuner's sending him something to put in his car.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Oh Lord, that's fun.
Got to have that job security. So I don't mean to be cynical. I'm just
No.
But what the heck? So hey, I'm super grateful you guys let me come on and talk about all this stuff all the time. By the way, it's been really good for us, and I've had a ton of people tell me they found out about us from your podcast. So you guys are rock stars, you know.
Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah, we do.
And I actually got to meet Ben at PRI, which was nice. I got to connect some of the people.
You got to see me, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
Did you look homeless?
Yeah,
I think I did. Yeah. I walked.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ben.
I was like, I have no money, sir.
No, not you. Him. Mike looked like a homeless guy.
No, he came up to me and I said, "Sorry, I have no money."
Oh, yeah, okay.
That's quite possible.
Yeah.
I got Paul Yaw pretty good too. He looked a little confused, but that's okay. So now I enjoy every time you guys come on, and I mean, whenever you want to talk about the school, or you've got some new program, or just you guys did something cool, definitely get back on the show when you run the Squareport deal. I mean, we want to know.
Yep.
Oh, for sure. That thing's going to run good here in a couple of weeks. I'm waiting on pistons. Were supposed to ship yesterday, or he called me today actually. So just got that to go, and we'll bolt it back together. But that thing's 358 inches. It made 867 the last time we ran it. So a little more airflow, a little more camshaft. I think she's going to be all right.
Crazy.
Where just the last thing, where did peak torque occur in those two engines? Like RPM for RPM? Not amount, just where.
Versus the, well, I'm trying to think whether or not it's a fair comparison, but it doesn't really matter since you asked. The cathedral port engine is pretty much out of steam by about 82 to 8,400 on peak power and about 68 to 7 on peak torque.
Mm-hmm.
The 358-inch engine, and again, like this, I'm probably going to have to extend our conversation now, but that thing makes peak torque at about 78 or 7,900 and makes peak power at about 9,200. However, I had this conversation with these guys at my booth over the weekend about this because they literally came to the booth asking me about cathedral port versus square port. But I don't know that any of that part really matters. What really matters is supply and demand. So stroke and piston speed is the demand of the engine in terms of how much CFM it's asking for and how much cross-sectional area and airspeed and all that. So the reality is, like, where it peaks is a function of what your head is able to supply and what the engine's demanding, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't just put more camshaft in it and make it peak higher. It has to do with bore and stroke ratio and, cylinder head flow and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to compare a cathedral port that flows 310 CFM to a LS7 square port that flows 385 the way it was. It flows a little over 400 now, but you know what I mean? Like, it's not a real fair comparison that way.
Yeah, I was asking from the other side. Like, I was wondering how much, like, what the power differential was between the two, where it occurred. So I'm wondering, like, how much different the converter is going to be, how much different the car is going to act, how much suspension adjustment is it going to require. I'm curious to see.
Well, I probably won't run the 358 with a converter anyway because I have a 5-speed clutchless Liberty sitting on the floor waiting to go in.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll probably put that in the car with the cathedral port just to really piss everybody off and show people how fast it can go. 3 more gears will help a bunch. And then when I do that, then I'll put the square port in there. So
Gotcha.
But it currently makes 358 inches on the square port makes almost 100 more than 381 inches on the cathedral port. So it's probably going to make 110 or 20 more before we're done.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, I expect I'll probably need to do some work on the cage here before too long and recertify it for the 750 instead of 850 cert.
Yep. Yes, you will.
And I'll need a parachute. We're already going 147, so I'll need a parachute pretty soon.
That's the definition of life comes at you fast.
Yeah.
The guy's just getting his license, and now he's like, going.
Yeah.
What an idiot, right? Like, whose idea was this?
No, it was a good idea.
But the cool thing is, like, for me, it's a true family deal. Like, my wife got in the car and made a couple of, easy passes, but she did a big burnout and it was intimidating for her. And so she did that. But she was trying to set an example for both of our daughters who are 10 and almost 13. They both drive junior dragsters. They got methanol powered 890 cars. And so we're really stoked that the whole family's into it. We take the motorhome and camp at the drag strip all weekend. And I don't care what happens after that. We're having fun.
Yep. All right, good deal.
That's great. Well, plug your stuff again. We don't want to forget that again.
So I spend all my time on the show talking about engine stuff, but the reality is we're a really kick-ass tuning school as well. If you guys want to learn about fuel injection from the basics to the really high-level advanced stuff that you literally can't learn in any of the other schools, go to EFI University, check out EFI101.com. Our Facebook is EFI University. I also have a page for me, Ben Strader, EFI University. You can find that. And you will not be disappointed. We have a engine development course. That's what we always end up talking about, which is not about how to build engines. It's about how to make engines better after you've built them. How do you analyze it? How do you interpret the data? How do you make a change and document it and then make it better? So we have all kinds of really great stuff like that, including courses on turbochargers, and we have online courses you can take, and I highly encourage you guys to check it out.
Yep.
How's that?
Absolutely. Fantastic.
Phone number?
Practicing for days. Phone number is toll-free if you're in the United States, 866-316-7744. If you're international, there's a number on the website you can look up, 909-97 something or other, 6865. I don't know. Don't quote me on that one, but it's on the website so that you don't have you can call internationally too. So
I'm going to throw one more thing out there also, that EFI U has really cool apparel. I love the EFI U hat. So
right on. I'll have to make sure I get you guys more of those. We just made a new batch. So
well, maybe we sold some for you.
You guys are awesome to us, and probably. You guys are awesome to us, and I appreciate your letting me come on and jibber jabber for a while.
No problem.
And thank you.
When you talk to Billy, tell him we said hello, and thanks for the entertainment with that whole cam testing thing, because that was really cool. No doubt about it.
Yeah, and seriously, if you guys are out there listening and you haven't seen that Spinal Tap thing, go look it up. It's mind-blowing. It's really cool. So,
all right, brother. Thank you very much once again, and I'll be in touch.
I'll call you when I have something else to tell you about.
Do it.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
All right.
Okay, man.
See
you, fellas.
See ya.
11-7.
He's a great guy.
That's spinning. He's a smart dude.
Yep.
I know I always say that, like, for certain guys, but he was speaking a different language there for a second.
I got it. I just couldn't put it all together.
Yeah.
Like I knew the terms because I've heard them. Like somebody said them once or twice in my lifetime. I could
spell most of them.
Usually Alan when he's trying to look smarter than me, which is very rare.
Yeah.
There's that's all these guys. Like I keep bringing it up, and I mean when I was naming off people, I didn't mean to leave anybody out. Like you got Billy Godbold, you got Kenny Duttweiler. We have talked to some fantastically credentialed people.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of hit me as I was talking to Ben again just now. I was like, man, all these people that we've talked to, there really is a lot of good information. And look, we're not plugging a podcast. I don't give a shit if you listen or not.
Yes, you do. One day they're going to realize that we're just idiots.
Yeah, we're the guys really
funneling in the good people.
Yeah.
We've got all sevens in our tables, as Ben would say.
Yeah, we do.
But go back and listen to the ones, like if you want to know about camshafts or, just kind of general principles, listen to Duttweiler, listen to Billy Godbold. They all kind of tie together. Programming and theory. I mean, you could listen to any of the shows that any of the guys were on, the good guys. Banish. I mean, you go down the list. I mean, there's a lot of good information here, and Ben never disappoints. So I would tell you, go check out his web resources for sure. So.
Yeah. Good show. Glad he called late.
I'm glad he called late too. I mean, God, people don't realize how hard it is. Like we'll sit here. Well, you know what the problem is? You're kind of a dick. Because
me?
Yeah. When I call you during the day, I'm like, hey, you know what I was thinking? And I start talking to you like, yeah, I got to go.
Well, sometimes I have to go.
No, but you see what it is? You're hurting
for that.
No, I think the pill will say you don't have to go too often.
Yeah.
I think that.
Oh my God.
But it hurts your conversational ability to just be able to sit here and bullshit. You don't spend enough time bullshitting. That's the problem.
I don't want to sit here and bullshit for 3 hours. I got shit to do.
Oh my God. Like now you sound like Alan. I got to take care of the kid. I got to make dinner.
No, I don't have to do any of that. I actually have shit to do.
Hollywood Tom.
That's right.
All right. Well, I think we're going to have a tire guy, right?
Yeah, we're going to have a tire guy. It's not going to be Mickey Thompson.
No, unfortunately, unless he calls up and talks to Tom. So
Day saver guy?
I guess that's it. So we'll see you next week.
Next week.
Monday?
Is it going to be a Monday now?
Yep. See ya.